Hi guys, welcome to this video. Today it's just me going through, and this will be a quick one, going through the unit test section, what I did and why I did that and what problems I had. And actually it revolves also around one simple thing, but important, very important, that you deal with the secrets in GitHub repository and your testing, that you can do that. And yeah, let's get right into it, I would say. So what you see here is the repository, and I will switch to the branch. Actually, that's the wrong repository. I'm sorry. I was doing that a little bit, and yeah, here. This is the right branch. This is the right repository, and yeah. So what I did is a pull request with all the things I did, and you see I was struggling a little bit to get the testing run. But we will go through that, what I did and how I did it. So, first of all, we had with the testing, if we want to test the API functionality, we need a API key. The API key should not be public, should be not in a file, publicly available in the repository. So, how to do it? Secrets. The secrets is a setting in the repository on GitHub. You can see here, secrets. And then, important, go to the actions and not the code space, because I did that at the beginning and thought that would be all the same, but yeah, it isn't. So with the actions section of the secrets in the GitHub repository, you can enable a secret. For example, this one has a name, has a value. I don't want to show the value because it's secret, right? But I can now use this value. And how do I use that? Now, let's look back at our actions. For example, the only action here is the Python minting, which was now included or enhanced with testing capabilities. And if I scroll down here, you see testing. So, and here you can see a section which is called env, which are the environment variables. And I now have a name for the environment and a name for the environment variable, and then a value for it. And the value I take from the secrets, and that's the name of the environment variable. So, no, that's the name of the secret, which is the same as environment variable, but yeah. So, and then I just run the task test. So what is the task test? Because that didn't exist also. So let's go back into the task file. This was enhanced with this section, test. So I had just a poetry run pytest minus s is, I think of it as silent, but it's just, I ask for user input and that you don't have a problem with that, this suppresses that. You can read about that in the documentary of poetry, of pytest if you want. But then also I want a coverage report, and as I don't have a package, I just left a dot here, which did work. And I want a coverage report in HTML. So this was the setting. And for that reason, I have to install the development dependency pytest, right? So that makes sense. I got into PyProject, I added development dependencies pytest, but then I got errors. Important, also install pytest -conf, because the coverage has to be installed separately. So it's just what it is. Else you would just get a warning whenever you want to have a coverage report, and then tells you, doesn't know what coverage, what that parameter should be and stuff like that. So you have to install that. Yeah, differently. All right, so I did that, and then I created the tests, like test whether data fetcher. It's by no means complete, and it's not even good. But I wanted to show you this easy way to incorporate your secrets from GitHub and how to do this, just as the basic part of that video. We could enhance the test for sure, but I think you all know how basic unit testing works, and I will just go a little bit on the mocking, because there I had some issues, which led to the change of production code, which I didn't know was a thing, but it is. So you also will maybe change your production code in order to be better or easier testable, so that you can test it easier. And why I did that, we will see in a minute. So first thing, I created a class, test whether data fetcher. First test function, test fetch coordinates. If you remember, there was a section in the code which just gets the location coordinates for a given city. So I just give Berlin here, and you see I get the coordinate difference. That means that I look up the coordinates with the fetch function, and then I have that, and I know what the coordinates are, so I invert that, subtract that, or add it. So invert, add it, or subtract. And that difference should be 0. So if that difference is small, then it's okay. And because I just want to assert one value, I just took the sum of the list. So hope that was not too fast or too confusing. So I have the coordinates getting from the function. I have the real coordinates. I invert them, then add them, and those two should be 0. But there are two values still, and the two values I add together, and 0 plus 0 should be 0 as well. And so if that's below 0.01, which is a arbitrary threshold value, then it's all good. The other function was quite more complicated. I wanted to test the fetching of the data. So getting the URL, go to OpenWeather API, get the data for coordinates, and then just see if I get data back. Stuff like that. And because I didn't want to really use the request module, I made a decision at the beginning to just mock the request section. But then, if I just switch the branch to main and go into the function, and now let's just imagine I would just mock on the request section of the code. So this will be mocked. And the return value I don't have any idea about. But then that return value will get .json as a function call. And this is not available, so I would have to construct the JSON, the thing prior to the JSON, so the response, the actual response. I would have to construct that. And I was lazy about that, so I thought, well, why don't I just put this together, so the response and the response.json, the conversion into JSON, into one single function and mock this function. And that's what I did. So jumping back to the unit test, you can see now that I mock a function called fetch new data. And this fetch new data, I can show that to you here, consists of the request and the conversion to JSON. So I can specify the return value to be a simple JSON. And I just took a small JSON which has all the parameters, but it's not that long as the real response would be, and set that as a return value. So this is common practice. I asked Cody about it. So I was just, you never should change the production code in order that it could be better tested. No way I will be doing that. But he told me that, well, yeah, we do it kind of, not every day, but from time to time. So creating the response from itself is also an option, which they're doing, but sometimes this, sometimes that. So, and then I thought, all right, let's do it this way. And then I just, added another section, and this section I didn't have at the beginning. And the problem is my program looks for a file, and this will never work in the actions because it's not there. And then it searched and got a null pointer, the equivalent of a null pointer, and then OS error and whatever. So I just said, all right, if the key is not there, then please load the file, which is true locally. If you locally run on a new machine, download the repository, start a program, this will not be in your computer's environment variable. Why not? Because it has no knowledge of the GitHub secrets and also doesn't communicate with it. So, but if you do it in an action, this will not get executed, so the .env file will not be loaded, and so I will just skip that in the actions testing. And then I can just check the function and see if the request got called. And I know, it's not complete. There should be a lot more tests here if the JSON object which is returned is serializable, whatever, and sort of checks. But this video is rather short, and I should just point out how to work with secrets and how to do the mocking. So mocking, really easy. In this case, I changed the production code to better fit my testing. And secrets, you can just state that as a environment variable in your action, which is then just going to call the secrets and then the name of the secret. And then you have it in your code as an environment variable and can use it, for example, for testing. All right, that's it, boys and girls. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Join on the Discord. Get in touch if you want to have something extra, if you want that we look on your code or stuff like that. All possible. So just don't be afraid to get in touch. And see you around. Bye, guys.